All right, so very good morning. You able to hear me today?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. A very good morning to all the senior professors, retired professors, all the presidents, vice presidents, secretary. Thank you very much. And I only request the organizer to mute all the participants except the speaker. Can I have that confirmed to me before I start my presentation? I want all the speakers to be muted except the speaker. Once you confirm, I will start my presentation. Is it done? Right. So thank you very much. And I do understand the excitement which is there for a lot of people to speak. And my apologies because I had a time schedule up to 12:30. I would have loved to hear all the experienced people who have been talking on their expectations. But let me dwell into the subject. And Professor Achavalapati, my association with him started when he was in the Usman University, and therefore we continue the journey. In terms of accounting, and rightly said by many of the speakers before, there is a shift. There is a shift in the mindset. There is a shift in the manner of business that are being conducted. There is a shift in the manner of accounting that is being conducted. So we're going to talk about today on digitization on accounts and finance. And for instance, today we are actually deliberating over a webinar that itself is an indication as how technologies have got into our day-to-day life. And therefore, we need to embrace these technologies. We need to embrace the manner in which we would now be looking ahead in terms of whether teaching on accounts or teaching on finance. Trust me, technology with accounts or with finance is the order of the day. Technology, without technology, accounts and finance will not exist. The reason being that there are so much of changes that have come up. There is so much of data that is available. Take, for instance, your mobile phone alone will have every day in number of GBs of data that gets changed, whether it's in your WhatsApp, whether it's in your Facebook, whether it's in your Instagram or in Twitter, anything. Your just small ordinary mobile phone is in a position to handle so much of data. Just imagine across the globe, so much of data that is available, whether an information that you need to share that there is a meeting today or a Zoom invite or anything else that you want to discuss on a real-time basis, digitization or the information technology has a very much say. Today in my talk about it, I'm going to talk to you about this revolution. Many of the speakers before talked about various industrial revolutions. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Industry Revolution 4.0. And basically 4.0 is nothing but the new digital industrial technology. And that is what is going to change completely everything. One simple example, suppose you want to do an interior for your home, and you want to look at the interiors and how the design would look like. Somebody if you have engaged in interiors, he would come back and give you and share a 3D image and give you a feel as to how your home will look like. That is the technology. That's the visualization that we are talking about. If you want to have a made to order cars, they will give you a visualization as to what you want, how do you want to have your start and seating capacity, everything. That's the visualization that we are talking about. And that is possible only through this machine learning. And machines are going to increase productivity. It is going to foster significant growth. Just take, for instance, you do see a lot of people on the grocery saying that the retailers, the lower people are losing because of the technology, because of the higher people like your Amazons or the big baskets or any of those on the Flipkart. Just think through this. You can't be left behind. You want everything to be done at a jet speed on your mobile phone. Even if you were to download an Arogya Setu and say how you're feeling, this information is captured and spread across to various people. And therefore, accounts and finance cannot be away from this revolution. So therefore, I'm going to talk today as to how this is going to be the order of the day, whether it's an adoption of the Industry 4.0, Basically, when we talk about this, we are talking about the broadening the hemisphere, broadening the way in which you will develop an accounting and implement a tailor-based accounting. And for instance, just to look at your mobile phones, using the cognitive technologies, face recognitions or a speech recognitions. You use a cognitive technologies to make sure that even if you were to using an iPhone and you want to enter into it, you have to use the technology of a face recognition. So I think that is the extent of the spread as to what a 4.0 has talked about. Just to give you a heads up as to how where we started, from a mechanization, a steam power, to a mass production assembly line, electrical energy, to automating with all the computers and electronics. Now we are talking about cyber physical systems. Now we are talking about Internet of Things. Now we are talking about networks. Just we never thought before. We never thought that we will be operating from home. Just by using technologies, we are interacting on a real-time basis. That is what a technology has done to all of us into day-to-day life. Now, for all the accountants, it's important that it is actually arrived. It's just not arrived today. It has been there for long, and therefore it is important for all of us to know that how vulnerable are we towards the jobs. And one of the biggest challenges, and accountants and auditors will be the biggest sufferers when we talk about this aspect of it. So just be aware of it. Thinking that you as an accountant will stay back is not what going to be there. The biggest sufferers because of the computerizations, look at the marked one, which is going to be the accountants and the auditors. Once you go on a real-time information, bankers don't no longer require information to be provided. Even if I have an online with the colleges and universities, no longer any interaction is required. Only the technology will take you through whether a fuse is due, whether information relating to submission of documents is due. You don't require a face interactions, including today when we talk about income tax assessments, income tax filing. Everything is moving towards what is called faceless, and therefore what is being used there, it is technology. And therefore for all of the accountants, all of the people who are in the commerce background, all of the people who have been looking for jobs, you need to start adapting to technology. And a technology is what is going to be the order of the day. When you look at the reporting, when digital is going to be embossed onto the financial reporting, what's going to change? The significant change that will happen is in the manner that the reporting will be very, very intelligent, because it will be exactly giving you the information of the past. It will come up with a predictive analyticals and algorithms. Just let me give you an algorithm how it works. Take for instance, you go and click onto any of the Amazon and say you just select that product, and then after 4 days you just forgotten about it. After fourth day, there will be an alert which will say this is what you may probably are looking at it. This is what is called as predictive analytics. The moment we becomes a slave to all the technologies today. Today, the moment you go to any site, we are leaving an imprint uh, to them, to the outsiders, without our knowledge. If you're using let's say a Uber or an Ola, when you open up a Google Maps or when anybody is using it, you have given all your information to that person. Not only to the person, the people who are surrounding to it. That is the extension of invasion of privacy. That is the extension of information that is available. For instance, let's say if you have been going to one particular route from, let's say, a particular A point to a B point, and in a month you've been going for 30 days, it will easily predict to you and say, hey, these are the new things which have come up during this period. You may probably want to explore it. That is the extent, and that is the precision, and that is the artificial intelligence that are used, and using the cognitive technology to make sure the reporting becomes intelligent. And so will be the case when the reporting happens, whether you're preparing a financial statement. Just imagine the transactions are happening. You're ordering something on an Amazon. You're looking at something on a rating. You're making payment through some gateway. You're getting somebody's coming and delivering it. Just imagine how accounting should be done. Accounting no longer is debit and credit. No longer is debit credit and a journal entry. It goes just beyond all of this. You don't know who is the owner of this product. You don't know who is the supplier of this product. You do not know who is the person who's collecting the money. Look at all of them are different, but all have collaborated using the technology. And technology is what is going to make reporting much, much more intelligent. Technology will also make sure that reporting is interactive. You can use tablets. You can ask somebody to send a dashboard is used. You will get all information on a real-time basis. In fact, some of the CFOs, some of the companies have already started adopting that every information will be updated to the cloud. The moment you log on to the cloud, you will be able to get information on a real-time basis, whether the information is at the factory, whether the information relating to production, whether the information relating to dispatches, whether the information relating to sales, whether the information relating to recoverability, all of these on a real-time basis, you will be able to capture. That is the extent of what inroads the technology, the Industry 4 revolution has got to it. There are various technologies that have made inroads. The big data. Just imagine for a moment, when GST was implemented, the biggest information which was the big data, just imagine from various portals of sales tax, VAT and everything on service tax, now suddenly you're moving to one portal called the GST. It has its own challenges. But just look at this. The big data is already available. There is so much of information which is available with various agencies, with various government authorities. You can know at a real time, for instance, whether when you're taking an input or an output, whether a credit, whether you are in a position to see whether the other person has made a payment or not, because it automatically gets reflected whether you are entitled for an input credit or not. To that extent, the big data is played. And GST is a great example of a big data. That means voluminous information that is available, and for which, when you have voluminous information, you have data scientists. Data scientists will go through each of these informations, come back with exceptions, and look at to whom they should focus instead of focusing in all that information that is available. Same is the case of today's seminar, is to what is the learning that you would want to get through in the process of, you could have a seminar for 2 hours, but what is the learning that you would get through? Is that big data and information? Is the big data is converting into knowledge, is what becomes very, very essential. So therefore, the technology revolutions have played a real play, not only in the manner in which you conduct business, but also in the manner in which you conduct or account, whether it's an accounting or a finance. The autonomous robots, if you look at the robots, the robotic changes that have come up through it, whether it is in, let's say, German companies where they use robotics, or in a pharma companies where they use robotics to make sure the processes are automated, or a simulation process. You don't have to go today to go take a car and drive. All you have to go to any of those, let's say with a Maruti or a Benz or any other place where they have a simulations which are available, where you get a real feel of how you're going to drive on a road. You will be able to learn, you will be able to apply brakes, you will be able to get that real-time experience when you have simulations. So is horizontal, vertical integration. Take the biggest one, the GST. It has got the interstate, it has got within state, it has got central. Everything is got integrated, and that is the biggest one when you had the horizontal and vertical integrations. The industrial Internet of Things. One system will speak to the other system. For the biggest example that I can share with you, let's say there are two machine lines that are working. Now the machine lines has got certain inputs that has to be been programmed, for which the raw material has to come, for which it has to be informed to the stores. The moment it is going to get to a level of a reorder level, the indicators will be sent to the stores, and the stores have to replenish it. The moment this is coming to a closure to the production and this gets into the next machine line, this is what is called Internet of Things. That means one machine speaking to the other machines. That is the extent of technologies, invasions, even into manufacturing. Cyber security is absolutely right. Cyber security, the cyber risk, is the biggest challenge. And this is going to be there because anybody can invade into all of your information, no matter what layer of securities that you could have, no matter how much you could have a multiple recognition way manner in which you could enter, still the cyber security is a biggest issue, and that is where there is significant improvements needs to be done on an every day-to-day basis, because the man is similar to what we have pandemic is the learnings what we could have get when it struck us sometime in the month of February and March. Today, when you see, there is so much of learning that has come through it, and that is exactly what happens even in a cybersecurity. Augmented reality, and I'm telling you, in augmented reality, you want to play a cricket, all you have to do is just put in on your goggles that's work that particular technology with you, and then you can just play cricket on a real time basis. This is the extent of an augmented reality as bringing. That means you don't really have to take something like go to a ground. All it is, everything is computer program. Just wear the lens, keep a bat, and you will start feeling that you're in a cricket ground, and then you'll be playing shots. And to that extent, the augmented reality has taken place. We cannot be saying that we will ignore all of these. Somebody might say, traditionally, this is the manner. I need a printout, I need work papers, I need documentations. Only when I see physical, I can believe. All this have undergone change. Your information is encrypted. Your transaction to a bank, just imagine how many times, when it was your last time that you visited a bank, that to the extent that you become so much reliance, whether it's a Paytm, whether it's a Google Pay, whether any of this, imagine accounting how you should be doing. If it's a Google Pay, if it is a Phone Pay, how are you going to do an accounting? That is the extension of the gateways. That's the extension of so much of apps that have invaded us. And automation, definitely, there is going to be, somebody might say that there will be a cut in jobs, but at the same time, there is an opportunity also it's created. While the biggest blessing that a human has got when you compare to automation is the thinking power. We can think, our logics, our thinking is way ahead, whereas a computers can only think to the extent what is programmed. It cannot smell, it cannot taste. The moment it does all of these, then the existence of human being gets out of this globe. So very, very important for us, as long as we can think, as long as we can make modifications, as long as these computers are slave to you, you will rule the world. The moment you offer it to the robots, the similar movies that you would have watched when robots take over you, then probably the whole world will be extinct from this part. Let's look at it. What is different? If you look at what has been different, thank you very much. I think you just make sure that you are, if you're not able to hear me, just see whether it's going into the muted. Thank you very much. So what is different? The most important thing, let's look at what is hindsight. Hindsight is whatever we have been teaching in over a period in time. We have been talking about single entry, double entry, self-balancing ledgers, higher fetches, accounting, all of this. I'm telling you, all this accounting has actually gone away. Today, all this historical reporting is actually moved to something with analysis, something which is real time, something which is blockchain, something which is distributed ledger. That means right from the beginning to the end, that is the change that has come through it. To understand that you have the foresight, your clouds, your robotics, your artificial intelligence, your machine learning, the natural learns processing, all of these, we have moved away. In fact, one of the speakers talked about from an ERP, the resource planning, to performance management. So we had an ERP which used to run for the whole of the period. Then it moved to a performance management, which talked about your budget, your profitability, your performance tracking. Now everything is into cloud, everything is into digital, everything is, just imagine your mobile, your cameras alone. When you used to have handheld cameras, you used to take photo shoots and all of these XLR cameras and all of this, still it is being used. But for the common man, you just imagine Kodak used to be a household name. Where is Kodak today? The digitization has taken over everything. Your mobile phones today is so much of handy that it can work much, much better than even a camera on hand. I think that is the extent of digitization that has gone through, whether it's a cloud computing, whether it's your visualization. You just visualize. Somebody says, I want to be I want a dream house. I want some house to be visualized like this. Apply your digital onto this. Immediately, you will be able to feel that. And I think that is the extent of what visualization has taken place. The blockchain, that is the reason where I'm talking about where the redundancy of an accountant, the redundancy of an auditor, when the blockchain comes, once from the starting to the end, if all the ledgers are distributed, you cannot make any changes to it. At that point in time, the existence of an accountant, the existence of auditors will always be challenged. Somebody can still say, as the technology is changing, accounting is changing. When accounting is changing, the accountants and the auditors should adapt to the new change. That is what is called, as from an Indian accounting, we move to financial reporting standard. The financial reporting standards talks about fair value. We talk about historical value. We talk about everything should be measured at cost. Everything is tangible, everything. Now, all these technologies suddenly has become intangible, but they perform the role of a tangible. We used to use calculators. Today, you don't need calculators. How many people have you seen using calculators? Now you're using technology, you're using digitization to make sure all of these informations are available on at your desk. The moment today, if you see, and I'll talk to you about as I go through the rest of the slides as to how the digitization has invaded us. Let's look at the tools, and you need to get yourself used to this analysis. The robotic process automation, the cognitive computing, the intelligence thinking, the advanced analyticals, what has changed in the last year, what has changed in the current year, what is going to be the future. Today, if you talk about, let's say if there is an impact of 10 to 12% because the China is now increased the prices of the active pharma ingredient, what is automatically it's going to impact, how much is going to impact your process cost, how much is going to impact your finished good price, how much is the cost that you can change or transfer to the customers, how are you going to, these advanced analytics, mobility, information available on your mobile phone, you can see your accounts, you can see your analysis, you can interact, you can share, take example of Zoom, take the example of Microsoft Teams, you can set up meetings, you can call for meetings, you can have a video interaction, you can share files. Imagine all of these was not in existence. This is a business adaptability. You can set up a room like a Zoom call. You can have a what is called a breakout sessions. You could have record all of these sessions. Just imagine the change in technologies. You don't have to do, I can just put in a recording, what you have heard a recording of a Tata Sky and watching a television serial. Just imagine watching yourself. You can go back and just re-perform yourself. I don't want to listen to a teacher. I want to just, I'm busy in some other project. I want to record this teacher. I want to go back and listen to the class. Look at the extent of adaptability that we have talked about. Look at the adaptability. Some of the white charts, schools, we talk about codings. They are talking white juniors. They're talking about coding. Imagine the thought process which has been brought into the child itself, that the coding can start at the age of 5. Just imagine, we are only at the age of 5, we will be talking about alphabet A, alphabet B, recognizing. Today we are talking about coding. If you were to look at the juniors which are in animation, that is the extent of thought process. When can you change? You can change only when the child wants to learn throughout everything which is new. So should be as an adult. Have we now exposed ourselves to say, are we learning? When the machine can learn, can't a human learn? I think that's the adaptability we have to talk. In-memory computing, a small RAM that runs in your computer. I don't know, your computer is becoming thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. But imagine a small RAM with such a GB, higher GB. Just imagine the amount of information that you could recall, that you could load, that you could store and do that processing. Imagine the in-memory computing that has increased. The blockchain I talked, the Internet of Things I talked about. Please, as professors, please, as practitioners, please, as students, adapt to these new technologies, learn this technology, invest in time. Don't think whether I will get a job or not, but skilling yourself on each of these platforms will open up an opportunity for you to look differently. I think that is what is very, very important. The data analytics. You have so much of information with you. You don't know what to do with it. Now, when you have data analytics, you can do mining. You can look at what are the changes that have come up. You can conform to the process that have been found. You can lay down the outliers. You can use big data. You can identify if there are any inconsistency of the information which is circulating. You can do a predictive analysis. That is the paradigm shift that we are talking about. We as professors, we as teachers, we as students, we as the users of this should now have a paradigm shift in our thought processes. Our thought process should be in love, in learning. Our thought process should not be sitting back in the past, what I did. It is what you're doing now is relevant. What you did in past is an information, is historical. Does it add value? The answer is no. What will add value is, what is the new thing that you have learned? Have I learned anything new today? Have I learned using a technology? Have I learned using, just imagine the OTT platform that we have today. Lot of these movies, lot of these serials, many of these things have moved, entertainments have moved into OTT platform. Just look at that platform, that it comes like a serial, but it is not a serial. It will have the experience of watching a movie watching that in a movie theater. Imagine the experience that they're bringing it about. When anyone in this media sector can do, anyone in the entertainment can do, can't we as accountant look at ourselves differently, look at, learn all of these? Don't say that only you have to be an engineer to learn. No, engineers will have their own roles, but even an engineer, a civil engineer may not be able to understand what is the data analytics, may not understand what is the data mining. Maybe probably a computer specialist, a person who has done a CSC probably would understand this. But all of these can be learned by any layman. All you need is investing in time. All of that matters. Look at the big data approach that the government is using. The government is using big time identifying if there are tax evaders, identifying whether the GST network, are they filing any false returns, they are being able to capture all of this. The artificial intelligence and data mining captured more than 2 lakh, 2.4 lakh, more than 2.5 lakhs of companies which never existed. It is humanly not possible to find out whether this company existed or not, whether it's a shell company or not. Imagine using one technology, one data mining, using an artificial intelligence. They went ahead and debarred 3 lakh directors of those shell companies. That is the extent of what a penetration and technology could do. Robotics, the robots are going to take over things. The only thing that they cannot take, robotics cannot take, is the judgment. A judgment a mother can take, a judgment a wife can take, a judgment a father can take, cannot be taken away, because the experience of a human cannot be replaced by robotic. You cannot be saying, get robotics, get married to a robotic because everything is done, because you don't have to do anything. That doesn't work. The judgment itself is about human. When do I get that emotional intelligence? How much of that I can add? Only a human can do it. Robotics, a robotic process automation can automate all your processing, right from invoicing to delivery to recovery to banking to everything. What cannot change is whether I should be selling this product to this person or not. Only a human judgment can play. But robotics with human judgment is a much better position. Robotic without a human intervention or human judgment. So therefore, invest in your judgment while you are using a tool. Just do not make it as disastrous when it comes to using of technologies. What are the things that a digital applications can do? Digital applications can eliminate the time-consuming process. You don't have to wait. Today, if you have to get a passport, you can just sit online and you can get it within 2 weeks. Leave all of these. Today, you want to have a digital signature. You don't have to go stand there, look at that person, they'll take a photograph, submit all this. Today, that is access through what is called technology. That is what is called the cognitive technology that they're using. They will send you information on your mobile phone. You need to access the site. You need to record from your mobile phone that you are the person. You will speak your name, and automatically that gets stored in a separate cloud. And that is where the digital signatures are used. Just imagine how technology has taken away. This pandemic has taught human per se to understand the value systems of human itself. The family value systems have come back, that there is a system called, there is a family. We do understand that when you go to college, when you go to the office, that we have to spend time. Even though working from home, looking today, working from everything from inside with reduced interactions. Imagine there is a bonding which increases, there is an understanding which increases. That is all said, but at the same time, the time that you take to deliver a project is also reduced because of technology. Because we use technology so much that we don't have to wait for somebody to come and deliver, somebody to move from one section to other section, carrying the file from one place to the other. That is the extent of time consuming that is eliminated. Matching and validations are done in no time. So much of gigabytes, terabytes, so much of information just can be converted and given a result in no time. Makes human interactions, it's humans, consumer feel real time good. You could go to somebody and you can use technology, say, I'm the person who is working with you. May I help you, whatever your information. This is what human interaction, the technology will have in human interactions. That is the extent of digital empathy that have been introduced. The consolidated data, automatically settle trades, detect suspicious, eliminate repetitive complaints. So much of what digital applications have made inroads into finance, and that is the biggest disruptors. Just imagine 6 billion smartphones plus smartphones are in this world. Tsunami of data, nine times. In fact, the last 2 years, it has been more than 9 times of the machine learning. That's so much of data has been generated. The diversity and generational change, the millennials are approximately 50%. The more millennials, the more is the use of technologies, and you will find that the jobs have also undergone change. Average life of any person staying in a job will not be at about more than 5 years. To somebody I talked about that I started my job in this college and retired as a registrar or a vice chancellor or something like that. The longevity is all gone. The cost of buying all of this technology is reduced. In 2008, it was approximately $500,000. Today, we are talking about less than $22,000. Vulnerability to automations, maximum, because more human people are involved, more vulnerable. So therefore, you could see that even India is not left behind. And contingent workforces. This contingent workforces is going to be 40% because it's called on the bench. That means you expect some work to come, and used to have like 5 to 10%. Now that's going to go up to 40%. That is the biggest unprecedented change that has come up, but this also creates an opportunity for a lot of us. The future, no longer standard disclosures, no longer narratives, no longer, sir, you have been the great, you have been best. Today, people are going to talk about what is that value that I'm going to create? What is the specific information that is available? What is the key information that I can take decisions? At what extent? What is a graphic? That is the extent. No longer go refer books, check, come, compute, prepare, put a PPT, put a slide, then come back, discuss. No, with the press of a button, so much of technology is going to do. And digitization is very, very important. That's for accounting requires innovations, creativity. When I say creativity, creativity is not window dressing. Creativity is bringing the maximum information. Today, from a financial reporting, most of the companies are moving to what is called integrated reporting. That means you give all information right from operational to the finance. So to that extent, if many of you have not looked at integrated reporting, look at Reliance, look at many of the companies in Hyderabad, look at Tata, many of the companies have actually embraced integrated reporting. Integrated reporting brings a lot of this operational matrices without sharing a lot of this confidentiality, which will help give the competitors the advantage. Embrace technology, as I mentioned, this is very, very important. So exploring technologies, always look ahead and look at it, how you could reduce the amount of time that you could take when you have to process that information. Automate whatever your existing capabilities are. Extend, doing digital, extend your capabilities. What you could do in, let's say, by 10 people can be done by using a technology with 100 people. Why don't you do it? Take the case of photography. Earlier, when you used to take a photograph, you used to come back and give after 3 or 4 days or a 1 week, because you used to process it, put it in a dark room, dip in water, then cut it out and give it. Today, when you're going digital, you say now you want 100 copies, you want 500 copies, you want a lakh of copy, you want it to be stored in something, it just goes into no time. So doing digital is very important. Becoming digital, don't always say that somebody is capable. Become digital, and being digital should be in your DNA, and that is what will completely transform. As I mentioned to you, accounting meets information technology. Conventional accounting standards have undergone change. Even the accounting standards today, even under COVID situation, how accounting should be done, that is the extent of how accounting standards have been framed. That is the extent of how information is. For instance, let me give you an example that whether a cash existed, whether an inventory existed, you had to go and do a physical verification. Today, you can use technology and to make sure that you can use it can be relayed, it can be identified spot on, which using either a Google map or any other tool where I can capture every walk movement of yours. I can capture through digital. I can look at through a video. I can then find out how am I able to do it. That is the extent of what technology is also assisted accounting. Just look at some of the changes that have come up in accounting. Fair valuations, control, business matrices, disclosures, moving beyond financials, predictions, judgments, everything has undergone change. No longer what you receive, what you get, what you record. Today, you will be recording certain information based on a fair value. A fair value is a value which you transact between when an unrelated parties are willing to pay that price. That means it's not related. The price is a valid price, a market tested price, and what you can pick it up. That is the extent of fair valuation. When you have fair valuation adopted, what you paid is not accounting. What is fair value of that transaction, what accounting goes through it. So risk and control matrices have gone, transfer of ownership has moved to what is called control matrices. No longer, amalgamation concepts are used where one company buys, takes over other company, it becomes amalgamations. Today, it goes the business combinations have undergone change. The integrated reporting that I talked about is beyond financial. So much of change that has been brought in. So when we talk about what do we do, how we do, when we do, and where we do, these are the questions which you should ask. What, how, when, and where. Whether it is in your management classes, whether it is in your accounting classes, whether it is in your preparedness of your exams, whether it is your how you're scaling up your career, ask what we do, how we do, when we do, and where we do, because that is what has changed. Because you still go and buy that product. Business has not changed, but the manner in which businesses are done has changed. Today, I can go order online. I don't have to wait. Somebody will come and deliver. No cost, no charges. Real time will come. I don't even have to take my car. I just have to